What's up, everybody? Welcome back and happy Wednesday. I'm meteorologist Andrea Myers, bringing you your daily hail forecast. Goodness. Sponsored as always by C3 Group, Merlin Law Group, American Contractor, and Atlas, and they're linked for you in the description to this video, so go ahead and check them out. Today, we're talking about Hurricane Idalia. It has made landfall. That was earlier this morning. Talked a little bit about it then. We're going to go ahead and go into the upcoming conditions now. We still have a potential for some hurricane impacts along Georgia and the Carolinas today as it continues up to the northeast. So we'll go into our city impacts and what we're looking at in terms of storm surge, rainfall, flooding, wind speeds, the works here. So we'll get into all that in a second, but before we do, tomorrow we are going to be at the Beacon Golf Tournament. I think Frank is going to be there golfing, so if you guys have any interest in golf or weather or Oklahoma City, because that's where it's going to be at, come out and say hello at the Beacon Golf Tournament. Now, today, again, look how clear it is across the western and central U.S. right now. Pretty dry. The only area that's really getting any sort of severe weather action right now is going to be the southeast. There goes Idalia right now. You can see the eye on that just working its way up into Georgia right now. Going to pass through the Savannah and Charleston area later on today, bringing continued risk of hurricane conditions. So watching that into the coming hours here across the nation. It is going to be pretty mild for most of us in the 70s and 80s for pretty much all the way from the Canadian border down into the Central Plains, and then working our way into a little bit of hotter weather, 72 in Dallas, or 92 in Dallas, 93 in Houston. Going to sit in the 80s and 90s across most of the South here into today. So for our watches and warnings in effect right now, they have shifted a little bit to the north. Now we have a lot of the mid-Atlantic coastline from North Carolina southward in a tropical storm warning. We have that hurricane warning still in effect for southern Georgia, as well as parts of very, very far southern South Carolina into today. So continuing to watch those conditions develop. There's Franklin still steaming away in the western Atlantic, but Idalia is really the one that all eyes are on into right now. You can see that eye that started to close up as it moved onto shore, but again, as it tracks into South Carolina, we should still see some pretty intense conditions because it's not really weakening quick enough over land, and then it's going to move over the Atlantic, and it's going to be a whole thing. So watching Idalia into the coming hours. There it goes into Savannah, potentially getting into the eye of the storm by around 6 p.m. Central, 7 p.m. Eastern. The whole north band is really what we're watching for our tornado risks, as well as a lot of flash flooding. Any isolated cells that are coming off of the outer bands of Idalia could potentially rotate enough to get some brief tornadoes. And then it's just dumping all that rain into the Augusta area, into Columbia, all the way through South Carolina and North Carolina into this afternoon and evening. There we are by 11 Eastern, moving over Charleston and now bringing all that heavy rain into North Carolina, and then continuing off towards the Atlantic into the late evening and the early overnight hours through your Thursday. So for right now, it has weakened to 80-mile-an-hour winds. That's down from 110 this morning. So 80 is still cooking, but not quite as much as we saw when it was in the Florida Panhandle. So working its way into the Savannah area by around 8 p.m. this evening, Eastern time. That's going to be 75-mile-an-hour winds expected by that time. Then as it continues towards Charleston, still only dropping down to about 65. Half of it has the Atlantic warm waters to fuel it, so it's not helping it die down enough in intensity very quickly. So starting to curve off back into the Atlantic once it reaches kind of the Wilmington area, and that's going to be by tomorrow morning, and then finally all the way off into the Atlantic. We'll see it kind of tracking out east. So Watching the next few hours, we could potentially see some gusts up to 60 miles per hour, maybe some 70s in there as well through parts of the East Coast into today. So if you're pretty much anywhere from Jacksonville northward, you got a moderate chance at least to see some up to 70-mile-an-hour gusts with this storm. Tornadoes, again, are also going to be a threat into this evening for anywhere from Jacksonville northward all the way to Wilmington. Could potentially see this area getting some spin-up storms, producing some tornadoes through the region. If you're in Tampa, Melbourne, it's moving out, so lower end chance for you guys, but anything on the south end of that storm could still produce a spotty tornado or potentially some higher wind gusts. But again, the chances are low as it moves away. So for your chances of seeing tropical storm force winds, that's 40 miles an hour or above. Jacksonville, you're already at 100%. Same with Savannah into the next afternoon. There we are by midnight Eastern time. As this storm moves up and over, Savannah, Charleston area, I mean, you're going to see 40-mile-an-hour winds or higher. And again, it's likely going to be severe gusts upwards of 60 miles an hour along that far eastern coastal corridor. Then if you're in like Augusta or if you're in maybe Columbia, it should skirt just to your south. So still a chance, but a lower end chance to see tropical storm force wind gusts. And then like Fayetteville, again, just to your south. If you're in Morehead City or Wilmington, it should be kind of curving to the east just as it moves over you guys. So those are the wind speeds into today. In terms of rain, still, again, just dumping that rain over the Georgia and South Carolina area. 4.48, so just shy of 5 inches of rain expected in Columbia by midnight tonight with the north end of that storm. Same for you guys. Well, I guess Columbia's on there twice, but not double the rain, just double the entries onto our little thing. But Augusta is going to be just shy of 4 inches with those outer bands of the storm. And then just shy of 3 inches in Fayetteville. If you're in like Morehead City, Savannah, and Jacksonville, you're kind of going to be in that eye area for Savannah and Jacksonville, so a little less rain for you guys for that reason. And then Morehead City should be starting to curve off just before it starts to dump that heavy rain into tonight. But once we get into tomorrow, it's a different story. Once it finally makes its way off into the Atlantic, then, we're seeing some very heavy rainfall expected through central South Carolina and far eastern North Carolina. Could be getting 4 or 5 inches of rain through that area. So that's just going to be a lot of flash flooding risk. Make roads pretty difficult. Now's not a great time to be out and about driving around anyways, but, extra validation of that for the next 48 hours. Storm surge wise is a little bit of a different story. So the way this storm is tracking is kind of along the coastline. So it makes it hard to get really high values of storm surge because we need that storm to be pushing the wind and the water inland into land. And right now it's moving kind of up along it. So still a chance to get some storm surge, but we're in the like 3 to 6 foot value, whereas, the Big Bend area of Florida was in that 9 foot storm surge potential into yesterday. But for today, 3 to 6 feet, so still definitely something to be watching out for if you're along the Savannah coastline. Same for you guys in like Beaufort, Seabrook Island, Charleston as well. 3 to 6 feet of storm surge expected with the storm tracking up and along your area. So if you guys are in Savannah, that's going to be kind of the next big city to see impacts from Hurricane Idalia. Got a chance to see a couple of tornadoes into today, and again, we got that 3 to 5 feet of storm surge for you guys in Savannah. Rainfall-wise, we kind of talked about it. You're going to be just south of the north band that's producing a ton of rain right now. So 2 to 4 inches possible for you guys. Shouldn't be, the 5+ inches that we're seeing through central South Carolina and North Carolina. So 2 to 4 inches of rain for you guys in Savannah, and then wind gusts up to 70 miles an hour possible as well with the inner bands of that storm. So that's what's coming up for Savannah. If you guys are in like Jacksonville, Charleston, Myrtle Beach, or even Wilmington, North Carolina, still got a chance to see those 40-mile-an-hour wind gusts or greater, but here's going to be your timing. It's pretty much now or very soon for Savannah to start picking up on those gusts. Jacksonville, you're already in it, so you guys should both see conditions starting to improve by tomorrow. But if you're in Charleston, Myrtle Beach, if you guys are in Wilmington, tomorrow is going to be, like tonight into tomorrow is going to be when you're seeing those conditions start to pick up. So, we see that chance of 40 miles an hour wind increasing by around Thursday afternoon, and then once Idalia is finally offshore, that's when those chances will start to come down. So That's what we have for you guys along the East Coast today. And then the tropics are still going. Now this guy has made its way off of the coast of Africa here, and so it's starting to get itself a little bit more organized. 40% chance of development over the next 2 days, 60% over the next 7 as it moves into maybe some better conditions in the eastern Atlantic. Then we've got this tropical depression that's already formed, but it's not moving into any helpful conditions here, so not a great chance of seeing it at this point develop into the next named storm. And kind of the same deal with this, 10% chance of development over the next 2 to 7 days. Both of them are kind of tracking into not great environments for tropical systems. So we're watching. The Atlantic it's woken up. I mean, it's doing the thing. So, and we're moving into peak season here with September coming along, so we'll see what it brings in the coming weeks here. But you guys can go ahead and follow us on YouTube, Facebook, Instagram, Twitter, and TikTok. Hit See First on Facebook so you never miss a live video, and smash that subscribe button everywhere else. And then if you want to get in contact with us, you can go ahead and scan the QR code up above me or click the link in the description to this video. That gets you access to all of our live mapping products. So any severe storm that occurs across the nation, 24/7, we're mapping it live. So Hurricane Idalia, we had one of our mapping team up all night just watching the storm and mapping those wind speeds as it moved onto the coast. So stuff like that you guys can get access to. If you want more info, there's all our contact information. The phone number is 855-334-4245. You can email us at info@hailtrace.com, or we have more information on our website at hailtrace.com. So go ahead and check us out, get in contact with us, and we'll let you know what's going on with all of your inland and Atlantic severe weather risks. But for now, I'm meteorologist Andrew Myers. Thanks for watching.